Today on the show, someone done pissed off Jason Statham again in A Working Man. Turns out unicorns are real and they don't like being pissed off either in Death of a Unicorn. And it's hard to get anything done around the house with the woman in the yard. And Billy Zane is cooped up in a house trying to bring in bank robber Scott Adkins in Where Did This Movie Come From? Let's get started.
My grandpa told me to never shake hands sitting. Look at those bricks. You ain't a cop. You're a working man.
When I first saw the trailer for David Ayer's A Working Man, I thought, why didn't they just make this a sequel to The Beekeeper? In that, Statham was a beekeeper with a past who goes into action against scam artists, and here he's a construction worker with a past who goes into action when the daughter of his boss is kidnapped. But they are both a little different. In this, he starts out as a much more happy-go-lucky character than in the other, at least for a few minutes at the beginning. And if I was to compare this to another Statham movie, it's closer to Homefront, as both were written by Sylvester Stallone. But aside from that, this is way crazier than I thought it would be, with every character and even the music turned up to 11. There will be these conversations in a diner with this swelling orchestra coming in like I'm watching a hard drama. Maybe to drown out some dialogue, which is actually pretty bad, like asshole father-in-law who is so nasty towards Jason Statham only so he can shout out all of Statham's flaws so the audience will know. Though I like when the parents say, yeah, we know the cops won't do anything. Here's some money, Jason Statham. Do your thing and find our daughter. But my favorite bad line is when a villain says, "You've been dealing with small potatoes, but I am the big potatoes." This is a 2-hour movie where it's like, okay, that scene could be cut, that scene could be cut, and honestly, there's not a lot of characters in it, so Statham probably could have found the daughter way sooner if he stopped killing everyone that he questioned. I love, too, that the villains are all acting like they're from different movies. There's Russian gangsters that act like vampires, henchmen that are rejected characters from Anora or The Matrix. I think the Penguin shows up, then the bikers from Every Which Way But Loose. This is a madhouse, and I kind of liked it. As flawed as this is, right down to Statham coming at all of them with just a rifle because the villains may as well be shooting blanks, or bringing in props from Breaking Bad, it is extremely entertaining in a way that would have made it right at home as a canon movie in the 80s, but not one of the Stallone ones, more so one that Chuck Norris would have starred in. Look, if there's one thing the trailer will show you, is that if it looks like your kind of thing, you might like it. If it isn't, this movie isn't going to be the one that wins you over. I struggled coming up with a grade for it, but it's a good enough time for a cheap seat screening, so it was a B-. Also, because later in the day I saw a way worse action movie, but let's get to Death of a Unicorn first.
Oh, no, I didn't actually pack a bathing suit. Griff! Get Elliot a suit! Oh, no, really, it's okay. Griff! Forget it!
For May 24, Death of a Unicorn is a horror comedy where Paul Rudd and Jenna Ortega head to a meeting with pharmaceutical CEOs in the country, but wouldn't you know it, they hit a unicorn on the way who actually has magic healing powers that can cure cancer, instantly causing the wealthy villains to fight like mad to sell this miracle cure before the supply runs out. There's a lot of material that's ripe for good satire, but how it plays out is just okay. A Working Man was one where the over-the-top, two-dimensional characters made it amusing. Here, the characters being such comedic stereotypes made it dull. Most of the CEO's family are acting like they're cast in a weekly murder mystery series. Paul Rudd is likable because, he's his usual likable Paul Rudd self. Jenna Ortega does the moody Jenna Ortega thing, only the character can't go a sentence without cramming in unnecessary tweet speak. It picks up a little when it almost becomes a slasher, with these unicorns graphically killing off people in the house. With it being about a group of characters in a house in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by a mythical monster, it's almost like A24 doing an ambitious version of a Jagged Edge movie like the Humpty Dumpty one or the Killing Tree. It has decent kills in it. Every now and then I'd get a laugh, but there really weren't enough likable characters here to make me care that much about what happened. If they actually felt real and not these cartoons, the message would have hit harder for me instead of being so obvious, like, now we're gonna eat the unicorn's meat and snort its horn like cocaine. This could have been something more clever and not what feels like an extended fake trailer on a comedy show. It's a C, it's not bad, it's just a near miss. Up next, it's The Woman in the Yard, a horror film that plays it very serious. Stay tuned.
My husband will be back very soon.
We both know your husband's not coming home.
I love that this is the third film of the day that featured a main character grieving the loss of a spouse, from Statham in A Working Man to Paul Rudd in Death of a Unicorn, and now Danielle Deadwyler recently lost her husband and is struggling to pay the bills. Her kids don't respect her. Oh, and a mysterious woman speaking all cryptic has appeared on the front lawn and she will not leave. With this being Blumhouse, I went in thinking, okay, is this gonna be low-end Blumhouse that's just cheap and cluttered with jump scares and we can call it a night? And it's really not. This is like Blumhouse doing A24, and I actually liked it better than the week's A24 movie. This is a very character and performance-driven film, where Danielle Deadwyler does a fantastic job as this broken woman losing her grip on reality as the kids try to figure out what the lady outside wants. The more it goes, it really isn't a ripoff of The Woman in Black. This is more like a ghostly figure who looks like Grace Jones starts chasing him around in the shadows. I started worrying a little bit halfway through that it was gonna lose some steam and just become a stock ghost movie. Also, there's a character from the past who comes in some flashbacks, and that acting is pretty bad, really. It gets to a point where a lot of twists and turns and different perspectives and hallucinations just get edited in left and right, but I did stay with it, even if it felt like they were given some notes to make it a lesser Babadook or Poltergeist. But if there's one thing I respect about it, is that they put a horror movie out in theaters that's pretty unapologetically depressing. This is a bleak film. It also doesn't stop to give you all the answers. It does keep things vague to a point, because it isn't hard to figure out what happens at the end. But this is a much deeper film than they're advertising it as. It was a good B. I like this better than a lot of critics did, mainly for its focus on these well-acted characters, and it does have creepy moments. Up next, Day of Reckoning, probably not playing in a theater near you, but it was near me, because of course it was.
It is over.
It is far from over.
Day of Reckoning may not have a character grieving a spouse in it, but I think it may have the same house from The Woman in the Yard. Here's a movie where Marshal Billy Zane, who still looks a bit like Brando but is playing a Joe Don Baker character, wants to track down bank robber Scott Adkins. So he gets the help of the local sheriff to assist he and his men in a house where they wait for Adkins to arrive. As much as I love the fact that I was in a theater watching a Billy Zane Scott Adkins movie, let's face it, this is a frickin' VOD movie that's in theaters by disguising itself as a Taylor Sheridan movie. I don't know what to say. It doesn't take long to figure out the marshals are also the villains, given that some quickly reveal themselves to be sexual predators. Shootouts will be going on with this ridiculous, loud, and out-of-place soundtrack playing over them. The editing and cinematography look like a Fathom event faith-based movie. A vast majority of it is just the characters waiting in the house for Atkins to show up, who takes his sweet-ass time and is maybe only in 10 minutes of the film. This moves at a snail's pace and is padded with gossip, relationship drama, adultery, a possible romance, bad dialogue, and bickering to where it doesn't even make sense that the crooked marshals would even want the noble sheriff there. Though my favorite bad line in this was, "Sheriff, more like Sheriff Dipshit." By the time it does get to the ending shootout, it's too little too late. I stopped caring hours ago. I'll give it a D+ because I do like some of the acting, but this is just a nothing movie that I am not gonna remember after a couple days go by. Thanks for watching, everyone. I won't have as many movies to review next week since we'll be at Midwest Gaming Classic, but get your tickets for that at MidwestGamingClassic.com and hope to see you there.